Britain is standing on the edge of political chaos. Tonight, the walls of Westminster shake as Keir Starmer faces the most dangerous moment of his career. The man who once promised stability is now staring down rebellion, betrayal, and a no-confidence vote that could destroy his leadership in a single night. What began as whispers in Parliament has exploded into a storm that threatens not only Labour's future, but the very direction of Britain itself. 1 hour ago, Parliament descended into uproar. The Labour leader, Keir Starmer, who only months ago was hailed as the man to steady Britain after years of division, now finds himself cornered. MPs who once stood at his side are abandoning him. The rebellion has broken into the open. A vote of no confidence has been tabled, and the numbers suggest his leadership may not survive the week. Inside Westminster, the mood is combustible. Reporters describe scenes not witnessed since the most brutal days of the Brexit wars. Labour MPs from Leave voting constituencies are furious, openly accusing their leader of betrayal. What triggered this sudden collapse of loyalty? A secret EU deal leaked exposed and now tearing Labour apart. The documents reveal something shocking. Starmer's inner circle had been negotiating quietly with Brussels, preparing a framework that critics say would drag Britain back under European influence without ever asking the people. Regulatory powers, trade rules, fisheries, and even judicial authority all written into hidden appendices that the public was never meant to see. It is being called nothing less than a secret surrender of sovereignty. For months, the discontent was building quietly. MPs grumbled in private meetings. Local councillors warned of anger in their communities. But Starmer pressed on, convinced he could push his plan through unchallenged. That illusion has now shattered. The leaks have ignited a firestorm. Labour's Red Wall constituencies, the very foundation of his power, are turning hostile. Fishermen speak of betrayal, factory workers talk of treason, and farmers warn they've been sold out. Across the country, outrage spreads faster than Labour can contain it. The backlash inside Parliament is just as brutal. Shadow cabinet members whisper they were kept in the dark, blindsided by the details of the deal. Some admit they only learned of the agreement through newspaper headlines. One senior Labour figure, speaking privately, called it the most brazen act of political deception in decades. Others are demanding his immediate resignation. And then came the rebellion. Labour MPs, alongside Conservative rivals and Reform UK allies, moved quickly to table a no-confidence vote. It was a moment designed to wound, to corner, to finish Starmer before he could fight back. Insiders described the Labour leader as red-faced and raging, shouting down MPs, threatening deselection, and lashing out at anyone who dared question his European strategy. But his fury has only deepened the cracks. The rebellion has grown. Meanwhile, Reform UK, led once again by Nigel Farage, is seizing the moment with ruthless precision. On national television, Farage branded Starmer's actions the greatest Brexit betrayal since the referendum. His words are sharp, designed to resonate with millions who feel their vote is being ignored. Overnight, Reform support has surged. Online rallies draw thousands. Membership numbers are spiking. And for the first time, polls show Labour's once comfortable lead starting to crumble. The crisis is no longer just about policy. It has become a test of survival. Starmer, the cautious lawyer who built his reputation on calm competence, now looks rattled. At press conferences, he stumbles over words. Behind closed doors, he is said to scream at his team. His image of control has slipped. What the public now sees is a leader desperate, clinging to power as it slips through his fingers. And this is only the beginning. The leaks contain more than anyone first realised. Clauses hidden deep within the agreement revive European Court of Justice oversight, handing back power. Brexit voters thought was gone forever. Fisheries rights extending until 2038. A devastating blow to coastal towns. Entire sectors of Britain's independence quietly eroded through backroom deals. Each revelation is more damaging than the last. Across Britain, the reaction is volcanic. Constituency offices are overwhelmed with furious calls. Protesters are gathering outside Labour headquarters, draping EU flags with the word betrayal painted in red. Social media is ablaze with hashtags branding Starmer a traitor. Videos of lifelong Labour voters tearing up their membership cards are spreading across the country. What was once the Labour leader's strongest base is now his most dangerous opposition. And yet, Starmer refuses to back down. He insists the deal is historic, a safeguard for Britain's future. But few are listening. The fury is too great, the damage too deep. The rebellion is gathering momentum at a speed no one expected. What began as murmurs of discontent inside Labour's backbenches has now become a full-scale uprising. MPs who once defended Keir Starmer fiercely are abandoning him in droves. Constituency groups across the Red Wall are demanding his resignation, accusing him of betraying the very voters who trusted him to respect the Brexit mandate. The fury inside the party is unlike anything seen in decades. Local branches are calling emergency meetings. Councillors are resigning. Some lifelong Labour activists are declaring the party finished if Starmer remains in charge. The cracks inside Labour are widening into deep chasms, threatening to swallow the leadership whole. The atmosphere in Westminster is described as combustible, a powder keg waiting for the final spark. Behind closed doors, Starmer's shadow cabinet is divided and fracturing. Senior allies are keeping their distance, quietly briefing journalists and donors that they were never told the truth about the EU framework. Angela Rayner has been spotted meeting with union leaders, testing the ground for a possible leadership challenge. Wes Streeting, a rising star inside the party, has begun speaking carefully about trust and transparency. His words deliberately vague, but pointed enough to signal ambition. Some shadow ministers remain silent, while others are whispering off the record that Starmer's leadership is beyond repair. The once unified front is collapsing, but the rebellion is not confined to Labour. Conservative MPs smell blood, circling like sharks around a wounded leader. They are calling for emergency debates, demanding answers about what Starmer's team kept hidden. Reform UK, reinvigorated under Nigel Farage, is using the scandal to devastating effect. Their rallies are swelling with angry crowds. Farage's speeches are short, sharp, and designed to ignite fury. The political class has betrayed you again. They want you back under Brussels' control. It's time to take back control once more. His words spread across social media like wildfire, fueling a movement that is growing louder by the hour. The timing could not be worse for Starmer. Just hours before the leaks hit the press, he had stood before cameras boasting of what he called a historic agreement with Brussels. He claimed it would secure Britain's future and cement Labour's credibility as a government in waiting. But when the truth came out, it wasn't celebration that followed. It was outrage. The leaked documents revealed concessions that cut deep, regulatory powers handed back to Brussels, fisheries control extended for decades, and the dreaded European Court of Justice written back into British law. For millions of Brexit voters, this was not compromise. It was betrayal. The fury on the streets is spreading fast. In Sunderland, angry crowds surrounded Labour offices, plastering the walls with EU flags painted over with the word traitor in blood-red letters. In Cornwall, fishermen staged a blockade, threatening to ram foreign vessels if the fisheries deal is enforced. In Birmingham, thousands marched through the city centre, chanting, "We voted Leave." Across the country, Labour voters are tearing up their membership cards, live on camera. Social media is ablaze with hashtags like #BrexitBetrayal and #StarmerOut, dominating news cycles for days. The anger is no longer confined to political debate. It has spilled into the streets, into towns, into communities that once placed their faith in Labour. Inside Labour headquarters, panic has taken hold. Witnesses describe a leader consumed by rage, screaming at staff, threatening deselection of rebel MPs, and lashing out at journalists who dare to question him. His image of calm competence, carefully crafted over years, has shattered. Now the public sees a man rattled, cornered, and desperate. Each press appearance makes it worse. He stumbles over words, avoids tough questions, and retreats from cameras. The mask has slipped. The strategist is gone. What remains is a politician clinging to power while his authority crumbles around him. And yet, the revelations keep coming. Investigative journalists are uncovering more hidden layers of the EU deal. Appendices buried deep in the framework show Britain aligning with Brussels across more than 24 sectors, from environmental rules and industrial subsidies to financial regulation and digital markets. It reads not like a trade deal, but a roadmap back into the EU. Stealth re-entry without a single public vote. Even worse, intelligence sources are now raising alarms. Classified memos reveal that senior Labour advisers maintained undisclosed contact with EU officials for more than a year. Meetings in Brussels, Berlin and Paris, none declared, none debated in Parliament. Security analysts warn that this may not just be political scheming. It could be a breach of the ministerial code, possibly even illegal. The sense of betrayal is reaching volcanic levels. Former judges warn that the agreement risks undermining British sovereignty for decades to come. Opposition parties are demanding a full parliamentary inquiry. Reform UK calls it the most blatant subversion of national interest since the Iraq dossier scandal. Even centrist MPs, usually cautious and pragmatic, are alarmed. They speak of collusion, of a shadow network of negotiations designed to steer Britain back under Brussels' influence while keeping the public in the dark. The outrage is bipartisan, crossing party lines. And for Starmer, it is devastating. The no-confidence vote now looms like a guillotine. Whispers in the corridors of Westminster suggest that dozens of Labour MPs will either abstain or vote against their leader. Conservative MPs are prepared to join them, eager to deliver the final blow. Reform UK rallies are preparing to march on Westminster. Protesters vow to surround Parliament until Starmer resigns. The storm has broken, and there is no turning back. Keir Starmer stands on the brink, his leadership collapsing in real time, his political future hanging by a thread. The crisis deepens with every passing hour. What began as a political scandal is now spiralling into a national emergency. The no-confidence vote is not just a challenge to Keir Starmer's leadership. It has become a referendum on his entire vision for Britain. Inside Parliament, the corridors hum with whispers of betrayal, collusion and treason. MPs rush between private meetings, calculating their futures, weighing whether to stand with their leader or join the growing rebellion. For many, the decision has already been made. The tide has turned, and the momentum is unstoppable. Every leak, every headline, every furious chant outside Westminster drives the knife deeper. Starmer's authority is bleeding out in front of the nation. The revelations that sparked this storm are darker than anyone first imagined. Leaked intelligence files hint at a shadow network of secret meetings with European officials, some taking place in Brussels hotels, others in private London townhouses where phones were banned and minutes deliberately unrecorded. According to insiders, these were not casual discussions. They were structured negotiations with draft timetables, integration frameworks, and media strategies designed to ease Britain back into Europe quietly, without igniting public backlash. The secrecy has shocked even veteran MPs. One backbencher described it as the most brazen attempt to deceive the British people since the Iraq War. For Starmer, it is political poison. For the public, it is personal betrayal. Anger is exploding beyond Westminster. Across the nation, protests swell into mass movements. In northern towns, voters who once saw Labour as their shield now accuse the party of treachery. In fishing communities, skippers call the EU access deal a death sentence for their livelihoods, promising flotillas to blockade harbours if the terms are enforced. Farmers in the Midlands burn bales of hay in protest, declaring they have been sacrificed in Brussels' name. In London, angry crowds chant "Stop the betrayal" outside Parliament, their voices echoing into the night. Social media is a battlefield, ablaze with videos of voters torching Labour membership cards, Union Jacks waving over marches, and Nigel Farage rallying crowds with sharp, brutal soundbites. The phrase Brexit betrayal dominates headlines, trending across every platform, drowning out Labour's attempts to respond. Inside the Labour Party, the sense of collapse is spreading like wildfire. Local branches across the Red Wall are passing motions demanding Starmer's resignation. MPs report their constituency offices are being bombarded with furious calls, some staff even fearing for their safety as tempers boil over. Senior figures who once pledged loyalty now scramble to distance themselves. Angela Rayner and Wes Streeting are manoeuvring in the shadows, testing donors and allies, preparing for a leadership battle that feels increasingly inevitable. Others whisper to journalists, describing Starmer as unstable, erratic, even dangerous. One shadow minister, speaking off the record, called him a man at war with his own party, at war with his own country. Meanwhile, the mainstream media has turned its full glare on the scandal. Tabloids scream headlines of treason and betrayal. Broadcasters dissect every clause of the leaked framework, exposing hidden concessions that cut deeper with every revelation. Former judges and constitutional lawyers warn that the agreement risks placing Britain under European court jurisdiction for decades, effectively shackling future parliaments. The sense of outrage is relentless. Political commentators compare Starmer to leaders broken by arrogance, Theresa May undone by Brexit, Gordon Brown crushed by distrust, Tony Blair consumed by Iraq. Now, they say, it is Starmer's turn to face the storm. For the Labour leader himself, the pressure is unbearable. Witnesses inside Labour HQ describe chaotic scenes, Starmer red-faced, shouting down advisers, demanding loyalty from MPs who no longer listen. His public appearances are worse. He stumbles through speeches, dodges questions, and lashes out at journalists. The calm, lawyerly figure who once projected competence has been replaced by a man visibly rattled, clutching at control as it slips away. His authority is shattered. His reputation lies in ruins. What remains is desperation, and desperation is deadly in politics. But the crisis now stretches beyond Labour and beyond Westminster. Intelligence officials have quietly briefed select committees that Starmer's advisers maintained undisclosed links with former EU officials connected to lobbying networks. Financial trails point to Labour-aligned think tanks, receiving hundreds of thousands from organisations tied to Brussels. The countdown has begun. As the no-confidence vote approaches, Westminster feels like a city under siege. Rumours swirl through the corridors of power: who will betray, who will abstain, who will stand firm. Each hour brings new defections, new statements of outrage, new calls for resignation. Keir Starmer, once seen as Labour's strongest weapon against the Conservatives, now looks like a leader without a party. Abandoned by allies, denounced by critics, and despised by many of the very voters who once lifted him to power. His premiership in waiting has been reduced to rubble in the space of days, and the wreckage is visible for all to see. The fury is no longer just political, it is personal, emotional, visceral. Across Britain, the people who gave him their trust feel deceived, and they are determined to make him pay. The scale of the revolt is staggering. Reports suggest that more than 40 Labour MPs are preparing to rebel, enough to bring the leadership crashing down. Conservative backbenchers, sensing opportunity, have promised to side with Labour rebels to guarantee Starmer's defeat. Reform UK, emboldened by the chaos, is staging massive demonstrations, calling the crisis proof that the political elite cannot be trusted. Thousands are expected to march on Westminster, chanting slogans that echo through social media. Stop the betrayal, save Brexit. Starmer out. The country has not seen protests of this scale since the referendum itself. The anger is raw, unfiltered, and it grows louder every hour. Behind closed doors, Labour is in open meltdown. Shadow cabinet members scramble to position themselves for the leadership battle that will follow. Angela Rayner rallies union leaders to her side. West Street in courts wealthy donors, and backbenchers whisper about dark horse candidates waiting for their moment. The air is thick with ambition, calculation, and fear. For many Labour MPs, the decision is no longer about saving Starmer. It is about saving themselves, their seats, their futures. Few believe he can survive. Even fewer want to be seen standing beside him when the final blow lands. The revelations that lit this fire continue to drip into the headlines, each more explosive than the last. Clauses buried in the leaked deal reveal a creeping re-entry into the EU, sector by sector, decision by decision, until Britain's sovereignty is little more than paper thin. Secret meetings in Brussels, undeclared payments funneled through think tanks, and classified intelligence warnings paint a picture not of negotiation but of collusion. Legal experts warn that parts of the deal could tie Britain to EU law for decades, shackling future parliaments and undermining the Brexit vote itself. For millions who fought for independence, this is the ultimate betrayal, and the fury cannot be contained. On the streets, the protests grow more dramatic. In Cornwall, fishermen blockade harbours, their vessels forming a wall against foreign ships. In Manchester, thousands march through the city centre, waving Union Jacks and chanting "We voted Leave" in unison. In London, Parliament Square is packed with protesters draped in British flags, their chants of "Starmer out" echoing into the night sky. Social media is ablaze with images of burning Labour membership cards, viral clips of furious speeches, and live-streamed protests drawing hundreds of thousands of viewers. The crisis has spilled beyond politics. It is now a national movement, a storm too vast to ignore. Inside Labour headquarters, the man at the centre of it all sits isolated. Witnesses describe Starmer as exhausted, drained, and furious, his temper snapping at staff, his voice breaking under the weight of betrayal. His once carefully crafted mask of calm control is gone, replaced by a man fighting for survival with every breath. Each speech he gives lands flat, each attempt at reassurance drowned out by the roar of rebellion. The strategist, who once prided himself on patience and calculation, now appears frantic, erratic, and cornered. The contrast is devastating. And then comes the decisive moment. The no-confidence vote looms on the horizon like a final reckoning. In the chamber, MPs take their seats, each one carrying the weight of history on their shoulders. The whispers fall silent. The country waits. Starmer, the leader who promised stability after years of division, now faces the ultimate test. Will he survive by the slimmest margin, battered but breathing? Or will the rebellion sweep him away, ending his leadership in humiliation and igniting a political firestorm that reshapes Britain's future? What is certain is this: the crisis has already changed everything. Labour's path to power has been shattered. The political landscape has been redrawn. Britain is once again plunged into uncertainty, its future clouded by anger, betrayal, and rebellion. Keir Starmer stands on the brink, staring into the abyss.